Skimming. Skimming is an important skill of reading. We very often do that. While going to the office in the morning, we skim through the newspaper to see what is happening. Or when we are watching television and there are some lines coming on the TV screen, we tend to skim through that and just get an idea of what is there in the content. Skimming is done mostly when we are just trying to get the gist of the material. That is not for any exam preparation, that is not done to answer any questions, and that is not done to comprehend any sort of content. It is mostly done to know what's going on or what is written in a material or a piece of writing. And usually the teachers also skim sometimes the classwork or the homework of the students in order to know what is the level of the students. But skimming can be also very dangerous if we are trying to just get an opinion about the skills of our students. We cannot afford to do skimming while they are giving us some form of writing, like for example, an essay or a letter. In that case, we cannot skim. But otherwise, we can just skim to find out the gist of the content that is given to us. So we need to inculcate this skill in our students in order to make them understand how they can go through a piece of reading when they do not have enough time to do that. So usually when the students, they become familiar to skimming, they like to do that in the beginning of the lesson. When the teacher tells them to go through the lesson or go through the chapter, then they can usually skim through that piece of writing. And that is a very important skill that we need to instill in our students. The purpose for skimming is that the student would have a good idea of what he is going to read. Actually, some people also call it pre-reading. Like, for example, when you are supposed to be reading something, you pre-read it. You pre-read it means that you get an idea of what you are going to read. The purpose of this pre-reading is also related to brainstorming sessions. The brainstorming sessions are actually very useful if you ask your students to skim through the content. Now, how can you do that? A good thing to do is that you select some part of the lesson and maybe make some handouts or maybe just photocopy them. It depends on whatever is available for you in the school. If you can photocopy some material of the content that you are going to read in the class and then distribute them amongst your students and then ask them to skim through it. When they will skim through it, there will be so many ideas coming to their mind. And the best warmer is when you ask your students to brainstorm after they have done this skimming or pre-reading exercise. After they read, that is pre-read or skim, then the mind becomes very creative. They get more and more words. Some of the students can also create more words. Some of the students can create new ideas while going through it. And some of the students can also make a conclusion of what they are reading. So it is actually leading them to a lot of exercises which the teacher needs to do at the end. But in the beginning, the teacher needs to ask them to pre-read, and that is one way that you distribute handouts or you distribute some worksheets in which you have the words or the vocabulary. You can also make it a vocabulary building up exercise. You can just give them words and they can just go through those words. That could also be skimming because it is pre-reading. They are going to come across the same words while they will be reading the rest of the lesson. So for skimming, you can give them vocabulary on a worksheet. You can give them a text, a paragraph to make them understand what they are going to look for while they will be doing the rest of the exercises.